Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to your Monday afternoon white pill. Bud Light is ready to buy back unsold cases of expired beer that sat on shelves as consumers revolted over partnership with Dylan Mulvaney. Oh boy, we're heading into month 2 of the ongoing boycott against Bud Light, and I gotta say, I don't think it's a boycott anymore. I think it is brand collapse. I do not see Bud Light reemerging from this one. Now, I think with most companies with tremendous resources, they will find growth. I do not think Bud Light will win back the people they've lost. So, what's a beer company to do? Well, of course, their initial plan here was to attract new customers as it was. I love this. They were like, we're trying to get rid of that frat boy image and find new customers. Well, congratulations. You have burnt down your original consumer base. You're going to find no one to replace it. You see, Ted Cruz, some others, they're launching a probe into Budweiser for having Dylan Mulvaney, who markets to children, sell beer. I think the whole thing's really, really funny. Actually, the post from Dylan Mulvaney is still up about the Bud Light thing. And I'm sorry, it was not intentional. We didn't know about it. I don't believe it. When you look at Dylan Mulvaney's post, the original post supporting Bud Light, it's a commercial. This does not appear to be some one-off thing. We just sent a can to Dylan Mulvaney. No. Dylan Mulvaney was promoting a giveaway, a sweepstakes of some sort. This looks like direct paid sponsorship, outright planned, all of that. They knew exactly what they're doing. And now they are reeling from this to the point where they're going to buy back their own expired beer. Oh, man. You love to see it. When we come together, when we say no, we win. Now, it's funny. A lot of people are pointing at Bud Light, Coors, Miller. All of these other brands have done Pride promotions. And they make the claim like, see, this is why it's fake, because no one cared before. No one cared before for 2 reasons. The first, it was an ancillary proposition. It was outside of the center of focus. It was a subculture and nobody cared. We watched our football games, we watched our sporting events, and we enjoyed an ice-cold Bud Light with some buffalo wings. What a good day those days were. You remember that? Sitting in a recliner chair with your friends, Super Bowl's on, a big old case of Bud Light. You got spinach artichoke dip. You got buffalo chicken dip. You got buffalo chicken wings, maybe some pizzas. And here's the thing. Bud Light was the easy beer to grab for people who want to enjoy a light beer. You want to get a little tipsy, maybe. Now, typically, me and my friends, we get a variety of beers, as you probably did. But then something changed. And they started putting this Dylan Mulvaney stuff in front of you. And they said, this. And you said, please stop. And they said, no, more. And you said, you know what? I've had enough. Nobody cared when these other brands did their marketing to subcultures. Nobody bats an eye. But when they make it mainstream, when they tell you it is what you must accept, they say, we've had enough. Dylan Mulvaney was the straw that broke the camel's back. But to be fair, I think Dylan Mulvaney's more like a steel I-beam thrown onto the back of a camel, which, of course, the camel can't carry. In fact, actually crushes the camel and leaves behind only a splattering of the poor camel's remains. The weight of the Dylan Mulvaney campaign on the culture war was metric tons in equivalence. It's one thing to do an ad that offends some people. It's another thing to hire one of the most off-putting, offensive, and annoying individuals. Now, let me clarify what I'm saying. I mean not to disrespect Dylan Mulvaney. I am saying those as fact statements. That when you ask people, what they tell you is they find Dylan Mulvaney annoying. Some people have outright said they find Dylan Mulvaney disgusting. I am not saying that I do. I am telling you, if you want to understand why it is Bud Light is seeing such a massive collapse in sales, what I have found is the most powerful emotion is that people feel disgust when they look at Bud Light now. It's interesting. Take a look at this, and we'll go through a lot of this data. Bud Light distributor issues public plea to bring back angry customers. Look, man, I don't know you, right? This guy, he's an independent distributor who sells beer, and he's got 100 employees, and he's freaking out. A beer distributor in Montgomery, Alabama, speaking out against Bud Light's decision to partner with Dylan Mulvaney in a 1-minute video ad running on about 10 stations in the state, saying, there's a quote. He says something, "We at Bama Budweiser, an independent wholesaler, employ around 100 people who live here, work here, and our children go to school here. We do not, as I said before, did not support this issue with Dylan Mulvaney. There was one single can made. It was not for sale and it wasn't properly approved." I don't care, buddy. I am offended by your statement. I don't care if you're an independent wholesaler, liquor store, or otherwise. I ain't buying your beer. And you know what? I got to be honest. I've had more beer than I've had in a decade in the past couple of weeks because we wanted to make the point. One local brewery out here, Harvest Gap Brewery, shout out, they have Stud Light. And I think they're just making fun of Bud because it's a dude on a horse, like a manly cowboy looking guy smiling. And I'm like, I think they're saying something about Bud Light with their Stud Light. We have the cans. I'll bring them up later today on IRL and we'll crack them open. I think it's really funny because I think I'm not gonna say what they want, what they're doing, this local brewery, but it really does feel like an indirect jab at Bud Light. But this is what really makes me angry. There was one single can made. It was not for sale. That's not the issue, dude. And you know what? If you don't want to bother to look into why people don't want to buy this beer that you sell, then you do not deserve sales. If he came out and said the promotional video with Dylan Mulvaney trying to promote a sweepstakes or some kind of contest was a marketing plan that we disagree with, and I'd say, sorry to hear, buddy. Instead, he comes out with the lie that the media has kept pushing. It was one single can. Lie, lie, lie. Here you go.
Lie.
I'm not going to play the video. Here you go. We'll stop it. This was not a video of Dylan just showing a single can. This is Dylan Mulvaney putting down multiple cans saying, "Happy March Madness. Just found out this had to do with sports," and not just saying it's a crazy month. In celebration of the sports, Bud Light is giving you the chance to win $15,000. Share a video with hashtag Easy Carry Contest for a chance to win. Good luck, Bud Light partner. Hashtag Bud Light partner. This was not just one can that they had made. And the media is lying to downplay and make it seem like it is unreasonable to be upset. What they're saying is Bud Light made an influencer can they gave out and everybody's losing their mind. Bud Light, as it appears with this video, did a paid promotional sponsorship with Dylan Mulvaney to market their chance to win easy carry contest. It looks like Bud Light didn't just do a can. They paid Dylan Mulvaney to promote their beer. Dylan Mulvaney's following likely is overwhelmingly children. Comments on this post have been limited. Look at that. TikToks, if you look it up, the average age of a TikTok user is under 21 years old. Young people, Gen Z, typically are using Instagram and TikTok. Dylan Mulvaney's audience primarily is on TikTok, which suggests a large portion, if not the majority, of those being targeted by this ad are under the legal drinking age. Bud Light came out and said, no, we're following all the rules, following all the rules. Yeah. But that's not stopping Ted Cruz and others from launching a probe. Take a look at this. Wall Street Journal ran this story, how Bud Light blew it. It's from just the other day, yesterday morning. And they have this chart here. Costly promotion. Weekly sales volume in the U.S. changed from a year earlier. Coors Light was on the decline. And then after the Bud Light drop-off, Coors skyrocketed, Miller skyrocketed, and now they're both enjoying a high point in their sales, with Bud Light down nearly 30%. Now, why would I go out now and buy a Bud Light? I hope everybody looks at this Dylan Mulvaney video and just see exactly why people don't want to buy Bud Light. I don't like Dylan Mulvaney because I think Dylan Mulvaney is an evil person. And I really do mean it. I'll show you another video that exemplifies this. I don't know if I have the tweet pulled up. I might. No, I don't. But I'll show you a video in a second. Dylan Mulvaney, to me, represents algorithmic destruction. The algorithm promoting things that regular people do not like. And I think this is apparent to anybody if you go outside. I got some friends. And they say things like, man, I could talk to my friend and they're texting me like, why are you friends with Tim Pool or something like that? And they're like, it's the weirdest thing ever. Then we go out. And what happens? We're hanging out in D.C. at MGM National Harbor, which is in Maryland, basically just south of D.C. It's the D.C. Metro. And what do they see? People coming up to me and giving me fist bumps saying, hey, man, big fan, watch your show every night. And they're like, that's so weird. No one says anything bad. Everyone just seems to come up and like security guard is like, yo, man, love the show, dude. Appreciate it. Keep up the good work. I appreciate all of that support from you guys when you're out there, you see me and you say, what's up? My point is this. That moment proves that the online activism is fake. Now, the reason I bring this up, and forgive me for bringing up kind of like a personal thing. I'm not trying to humble brag or anything like that. I'm making the point that to the average person, when they tell you, when the internet tells you, when the media tells you Dylan Mulvaney is popular, you must follow and like Dylan Mulvaney, it's wrong. It's a lie. It's the algorithm. Certain ideas are being promoted and propped up by people who have no business promoting it and propping it up. You go out into the real world and what do you discover? Strangely, people don't seem to like Dylan Mulvaney. Why? Well, I believe one journalist wrote that it's this off-putting Audrey Hepburn act coming from a man. Well, they didn't say man. They said from a male person. And it is off-putting to the average person. To me, I think the behavior, the fake smile, is nails on a chalkboard. It's grating. It's like, oh, make it stop. But what I've heard from a lot of people is disgust. And this image, I think, exemplifies it. Dylan Mulvaney, many people are disgusted by this behavior. It's a combination of the clothing, the attitude, the speaking. It's not just annoying, it's disgust. I am not saying I feel that way, okay? I feel like it's mean. You're allowed to be mean. I'm just saying, I'm like, nah, look, I don't like Dylan Mulvaney because I think Dylan Mulvaney is trying to exploit the algorithm for fame and getting surgeries and stuff to just fit the mold so they can put on this performance and get followers and make money. I think it is manipulative. I do not believe it is genuine. Women do not put on high heels and hike in the woods. Hiking heels? Like, that's not real. It's a caricature to insult trans people and women. I despise the whole thing. But I think, from what I've heard from regular people, is that this image of BudLight and this image of Dylan Mulvaney makes them think of, it disgusts them. And so when they go to a liquor store and they look in the shelf and they see BudLight, they see Dylan Mulvaney's face, they experience disgust, and they walk away. I've heard that from a lot of people. They've said, I don't know, man, it makes me sick. And I'm like, really? Because at first I wasn't saying that. At first I was saying, I think people find Dylan Mulvaney annoying, and so they're like, I don't want to buy that beer. But when I actually started asking people, they're like, I don't know, it's gross. And I'm like, interesting. That's a different experience. Me, it's nails on a chalkboard. Me, I'm just like, I don't want to buy that BudLight. Screw BudLight. But I hear from a lot of people, they're saying like they are sickened. And I'm like, that I find particularly interesting. But I'm going to do this while I have Dylan Mulvaney's Instagram pulled up. I want to show you exactly why I think Dylan Mulvaney is a bad person. And it's this right here.
Queen Charlotte is so good.
Fake crying. So good. Laughing.
Oh my God. Wasn't that amazing?
Ready?
I'm going to go back, play that in.
Queen Charlotte is so good.
There's a longer version of this video. I'm not sure. Someone posted it where Dylan's like, you watched it twice. The woman in the background is laughing. While Dylan Mulvaney, in my opinion, is fake crying about this Netflix show. It's so good. Here's a few things you should notice. Dylan Mulvaney in this appears to be fake crying while a friend is laughing, has facial hair coming in. What I was told by more than one trans person, facial hair removal is the cheapest and easiest thing to get done, and one of the first things that trans women get done. Dylan Mulvaney has not done that. Now, some people have said, yeah, but Dylan Mulvaney is clearly trans because Dylan Mulvaney got facial surgery. What I was told, and again, could be wrong, by trans women, was that, and I don't care if you don't like, someone told you this, I don't know, whatever. This is my experience. The facial surgeries are the easiest thing to ignore. Like Michael Jackson got facial surgery and was still a man. The point they brought up to me is they think the refusal to remove the facial hair, which is substantially cheaper, says to them that Dylan's not really trans and is doing this as a performance. and at some point may decide not to be trans anymore. I was also told Dylan Mulvaney clearly is not taking hormones, and there's certain ways you can tell. And I'm like, I don't know about that. That's just what I was told by some trans people, that there are certain things that happen. You take hormones that make it obvious that you are, and Dylan appears not to be. Dylan appears to have gotten surgery and is acting a certain way with makeup and angles to look like they want to transition, but they're actually putting a performance. I've had people say to me, that's ridiculous, Tim. Why would a person undergo surgery just for fame and being on Instagram or whatever? And I'm like, I would like to introduce you to literally every person in Hollywood. Jennifer Aniston got a nose job. Watch her in the film Leprechaun and then watch her on Friends. She got a nose job. That's fine, whatever. I don't care. Madonna recently got plastic surgery and everybody made fun of her. Why is it okay to make fun of Madonna but not Dylan Mulvaney? I don't care about piling on with hate or anything. I want to approach this academically. My view of Dylan Mulvaney is it's an individual who has found a hole in the algorithm that boosts him. And so feigning being trans makes money for him. Like, women don't do this. Trans people don't do this. This is an offensive stereotype. I can't believe social media is promoting it. It's like they want people to hate trans people. They're like, I literally don't care if you're trans, if you're or whatever, and you want to live your life. You're doing your thing. I have long said, I think that trans people should use the bathrooms where they most socially fit in. That is not the conservative position. That's actually the left position. The conservative position is use the bathroom that corresponds with the biological sex. I don't know if that works. I don't think it does. Buck Angel going in the women's room would probably cause more problems than Buck Angel going in the men's room. Blair White going into the men's room would probably cause more problems than Blair White going into the women's room. And so there are challenges we face here. I don't have the answers. My solution is always the compromise. Like, why don't we just do single stall bathrooms? It's just like you walk into the restroom area and there's like 10 doors and each is their own room. People have pointed out to me, it's with the amount of people we have, like in an airport, for instance, you can't do it because you can have like 30 guys go in the bathroom, in and out, walk up to a urinal, walk right out. You want to make single use bathrooms, you're going to have substantially less. Fair point. Unless we make them very, very small, I guess. And instead of just doing like 5 stalls in one room, you do 5 very small stall sized rooms. Some people have said it's not cost effective and you still have to connect them because of flooding. One of the reasons they do shared bathrooms is that if one toilet floods, it all goes to the same drain in the floor. And I'm like, okay, man, look, I don't have the answers. But I just think outside of all of that, I think to me, it's fairly obvious that Dylan Mulvaney is just mocking women and trans women. And the left doesn't care. Don't look at me. I don't know. Cruz and Blackburn probe Anheuser-Busch's partnership with Dylan Mulvaney. Now, the response they've given is that they always strive to have marketing not going to minors. They say Cruz and Blackburn asked Whitworth to avoid a lengthy investigation by publicly severing its relationship with Mulvaney, publicly apologizing for marketing alcoholic beverages to minors, and directing Mulvaney to remove any Anheuser-Busch content from TikTok and his other social media platforms. That's really interesting. The Beer Institute must examine whether your company violated the Beer Institute's advertising marketing code and buying guidelines, prohibiting marketing to individuals younger than the legal drinking age, Cruz and Blackburn write in their letter to Whitworth, chairman and senior director of the Beer Institute, in addition to being Anheuser-Busch's chief executive officer. Anheuser-Busch, which owns both Budweiser and Bud Light, faced backlash. This we understand. I don't know if this is the right thing to do, to be completely honest. We would urge you in your capacity at Anheuser-Busch to avoid a lengthy investigation, blah, blah, blah. I don't think the government should be going to a private company and being like, you did a marketing campaign we don't like, so you better sever ties. That seems weird. However, there are questions as to why Bud Light thought it appropriate to market to children or to minors. I think the drinking age should be 18. I think drinking for the most part is bad. I've had a handful of beers over the past few months, namely because of this whole controversy. I'm like, we're getting Yingling. And then like we grab beers. And, I try to avoid alcohol for the most part because it's bad for you. But just because I don't like Dylan Mulvaney's acting and campaign and mockery of women and trans people doesn't mean Dylan Mulvaney isn't allowed to do it. Doesn't mean Bud Light isn't allowed to sponsor that. I do think that, they should not be marketing to minors. But I will stress, my point was that, look, if you're an adult, if you're 18, you can sign contracts. I think you should be allowed to have beers. Raising the drinking age to 21 made no sense. I think that's all weird stuff, but it's immaterial to what's going on right now. I think it's good that some action is being taken. There's an inquiry here. I think people need to understand the bigger picture around Dylan Mulvaney. These people in Hollywood are pretending to like Dylan Mulvaney. They're pretending. And I have proof. I really, really do. Take a look at this. This is an article from MEAWW. It says Tim Pool shredded for saying liberal women should be complimented by comparing them to Lizzo or Dylan Mulvaney. Here's what I said. Why would anyone be offended by this? If you're on the left, you think Mulvaney and Lizzo are beautiful, so there is nothing wrong with what I said. The only reason anyone would get offended by this is if they were disgusted by Mulvaney and Lizzo. This is the point. I said this a long time ago. I said compliment women by saying they look like Dylan Mulvaney. If they're saying Dylan Mulvaney's so beautiful, then tell people they look like Dylan Mulvaney. You're complimenting them. Then there was a comedian, Jeff Dye, I think his name was, said, if Lizzo is so beautiful, why do women get mad when I say you look like Lizzo? I combined these things and said, compliment them. Say they look like Dylan Mulvaney and Lizzo. We were saying this before a while back when the start of the Dylan Mulvaney thing happened. I was like, if women are really into this, then it's a compliment, right? Of course not. They get offended by it. And so the media response to me saying compliment them was that I said something wrong. How does that make sense? It doesn't. It exposes what these people really think. These liberals do not find Dylan Mulvaney beautiful, do not find Lizzo beautiful. They find them off-putting. I'll put it mildly. So when you tell them they look this way, they get offended. When I say you should compliment women by saying they look like Mulvaney or Lizzo, they get offended because they're lying to you. So you want to know why BudLight is failing? This exemplifies it. Because even leftists get offended if you tell them they look like Dylan Mulvaney. Doesn't that exemplify exactly the issue? They're lying to you, and the average person doesn't want to buy your beer anymore. Well, I suppose the good news is for all the distributors, BudLight will buy back the garbage beer nobody wants. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 4 p.m. on this channel. Thanks for hanging out, and we will see you all then.